How is it possible that the world was only created in 7 days? In this video, you will learn 4 points on how the world was made in such a short amount of time.
Days 1 and 2. In the first chapter, God creates everything in the universe, including the earth.
This is important because the Hebrew word for create is bara,
which means something out of nothing. This means that God created everything in the universe with nothing. On the first day, God creates light in the darkness. This is important because we know that Jesus is later called the light of the world in John 8:12. When Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life."
Light being created first is also symbolic because light shines through chaos. In other words, God was providing order to the earth. On the second day, God created the firmament to separate the waters. The firmament is the divide that God created in preparation for dry land.
The deeper part of this is the water vapor that went into the air after God placed this divide. Most likely this water vapor created a type of bubble around the earth that prevented extreme temperatures, weather, and natural disaster. Bible scholars refer to this bubble as the vapor blanket. We also think that this blanket made it easier for the people in this timeline to breathe. This would explain why people in the Bible days lived for so long. When God flooded the earth the second time in Noah's Ark, the bubble popped. Day 3 and 4. Day 3 is when God creates all the plants and trees in the world. Notice that he creates the plants before the sun and moon. This means that the light that was created in the beginning was sufficient enough to nurture the plants.
On the fourth day, God creates the sun, moon, and stars.
God made the sun, moon, and stars as a way for us to use as a form of direction and time. Also notice how God put the sun and moon in the perfect location so that we could not freeze to death or burn alive. Day 5 and 6. On the fifth day, God creates birds and sea creatures.
On this day, we see that a large variety of fish and birds were created all at once and did not evolve over time.
Notice that God creates all the animals according to their kind. This means that there are variations, but animals cannot breed outside of their specified kind.
On day 6, God creates all the land animals and man.
We know this because of Genesis 1:26. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground."
This verse shows that we are made to be at the top of the food chain. God created us to have dominion over all the other creatures.
We know the world was created in 6 days because of Genesis 2:2. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work.
The debated part of this verse is the word day, because some believe that it only stands for 6 24-hour days, and others believe that it stands for 6 million years. The answer to this question can be found in the historical text for the word day. The Hebrew word for day is yom.
If we look at the definition of yom, we find that day in Hebrew actually means a period of time.
The next question is, what period of time did God mean in this verse?
The answer to this question can be found in 2 Peter 3:8. But do not forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day.
If we multiply 1,000 times 6 because he rested on the seventh day, we get 6,000 years.
God is a timeless God. 6,000 years is nothing to God. You might ask, well, what do you mean by new world? Well, the Bible tells us in 2 Peter 3:5-7 that the earth existed before creation in Genesis. But they deliberately forgot that long ago, by God's word, the heavens came into being and the earth was formed out of water and by water.
This points to the forming of the world before Genesis, because you see, in Genesis it says that God created the world. Create means something from nothing. Form means that you use something to make something else. In this verse, God is saying that he used water to form the world.
Verse 6. By these waters also the world of that time was deluged and destroyed.
This flood came about before the flood of Noah. This is before God even created man. Both verses 5 and 6 show us that the world is actually older than 6,000 years.
If we look at all the fossil records and geology of the world currently, science tells us that the earth is in fact millions of years old. We do not know the exact number, however, even the second law of thermodynamics points to this. This law states that everything turns to dust given a certain period of time.
The desert is an entire area of the earth covered in dust. This further proves the point that the world is millions of years old.
Verse 7, by the same word the present heavens and earth are reserved for fire, being kept for the day of judgment and destruction of the ungodly. In verse 7 we see that after the rapture God will set the world on fire and cleanse it for his new heaven on earth.
Now that you know how the world was created and that it will be set on fire after the rapture, watch this video to figure out how the rapture will actually happen.